All right, so today we're going to be talking about something that is just delightful. One of these guys. More on that next. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're coming to you here today on a very warm Sunday afternoon at the beginning of June. It's about 107 degrees here in Whitman. Lori and I were at church this morning, which is in Peoria, and you know it is about 113 in the city as we were driving back into town. So you know what? 5 degrees does make a big difference, but man, it is still hot. Anyhow, one of the things about June is we get very busy with fruit production. We want to try to share as many of these as we can with you guys. So today what we're going to be focusing on is this tree right behind me here. This is our Flavor Delight Aprium. So now Aprium, for those of you who don't know what an Aprium is, an Aprium is an apricot and a plum. It's a mix. I believe it's a Zager hybrid. They're out of California, and they've actually developed this fruit. So what it is, it's predominantly apricot. So it looks a lot like an apricot, and it's blended with a plum. So when they're hybridizing it, so they're mixing those two together, its parentage is predominantly apricot. So it looks just like an apricot, but it's mixed with a plum. So it gets a little bit, it's sweeter, it's juicier, and a little more tart would be the best way for me to describe it. We really like it over apricots because it has a little bit better mouthfeel to it. It's not quite as mushy. It's got more of a firmer flesh, but just an amazing fruit. So the tree behind me here, this tree is not quite 3 years old. This particular tree, this spot in our orchard was one of the, it was actually in our original row of trees. And we had planted trees that we purchased from Home Depot that were in these small, I think they're about a 1 gallon pot. They were essentially a really small yearling bare root tree that they put into a paper pot. I don't see them anymore, but they did have them that year. They were inexpensive, but what we had in the ground here was actually a nectarine, which you can't see is on either side of Lori are our two peach trees. And we try to keep our trees together in little groupings of types of trees. And of course, a nectarine is just a fuzzless peach. So the Aprium, the reason why it's behind me instead of a nectarine tree, which is what we originally planted here, is the nectarine tree never took. We actually never got any growth out of it at all. So what we did is we pulled that out in the summertime. We waited till fall. And what we did is what you can't see to my far left is our apricot tree. We've got a Katy apricot tree that we put in the ground. And we wanted to have something that was similar to that. Did some research, found out that this does a great cross-pollination with the Katy apricot to help increase fruit production. So we got this tree this fall, will be 3 years. We got it from Summer Winds Nursery in Phoenix. We got it in a pot. I want to say it was about a 3.5 gallon pot. We got it in the fall, so it actually had come in with their spring stock. It had been in that pot all summer, so it was pretty stressed out when we got it. But we put it in the ground, broke up the root ball really well because it had wrapped a few times inside the pot. A little nervous that it wasn't going to take. I lost a lot of the soil that was inside the pot. So I'm not going to say it was a bare root tree, but we got it pretty darn close. Well, this tree after that has just taken off. We pruned it back nice and heavy that first year. I came back and pruned it again in the wintertime this year, pruned it down quite a bit. In fact, we pruned it down to right here. I can see my pruning cut. And it is already up probably about 10 feet tall. And as far as width, it's probably a good 8 to 10 feet wide as well from the widest points. It's an open center where it's starting to grow back in here just a little bit. It is a winter prune tree, more on that. Hopefully this winter I can show you guys. But back to the fruit. So the fruit is ripe now. Now the fruit sets here at the same time as the Katy apricot. And just like our peach trees, it had an issue with the frost this February. So our harvest on this tree is much smaller than it typically would be, and you know, it really hurt our Katy apricot. In fact, I'm not even going to wind up doing a Katy apricot video because we have 0 fruit on our Katy apricot, which tells me that this doesn't necessarily need a whole lot in the way of cross-pollination to actually set fruit. However, not a big harvest. But let me tell you that what we do harvest really tastes good. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and harvest one. One thing I want to point out with this tree, because of its growth habit, it's got a really cool vase shape, very hard for us to net. So we actually do use organza bags on this tree, so we have them covered just like we do our figs. We've done with our peaches this year. We do with some other fruit here. We do go ahead and cover these with organza bags. I'll link our fig video here where I kind of show you how we use organza bags. It's very similar to that fig video, so you can take a look at that. But back to the fruit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have Lori squeeze in just a little bit. I try to keep them covered with these organza bags because when they're ripe, and this one's ripe, they usually pop right off, and it's exactly what it did. So this little guy here, hang on to the organza bag. So it's a free stone fruit, which means the stone inside or the pit inside doesn't cling. Anytime you get an apricot or an aprium like this one, all you need to do is peel them open. But just size, it's pretty small, about the size of a quarter. They do get bigger than this, but not a whole lot bigger. The flesh, it gives, so it gives under light pressure, but it's still firm. So sometimes these will get like a red kind of blush to them. This one doesn't have it, it's mainly orange. In fact, it's all orange. But I'm gonna go and peel it open. So it splits pretty easy, but it's juicy. So it's small, but juicy. The pit itself, it's just freestone, comes out super easy, so you get 2 halves. Leave that down as mulch. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try bigger half or smaller half. What do I wanna do today? I think I'm gonna leave the bigger half for Lori because I think that's the right thing to do the way she's looking at me right now. So I'm gonna go and try this for you guys. That's good. So really, really sweet. This one's a little bit probably overripe, so it's a little softer. So I like to actually pick these just a little underripe because they're a little juicier, have a better texture in my opinion, but it has a classic kind of apricot flavor, but a very unclassic tardiness. You know, you can really taste that plum kind of tart. It's sweeter. The flesh is more juicy than an apricot typically would be, where an apricot's kind of, I don't know, almost cottony in your mouth. This one's not. So it's got that really juicy, just really kind of that plum finish. That's good. Here, you get the rest. So, but a very, very good fruit. So that is our Flavor Delight Aprium. So just want to thank you for joining us today. And you know what? If you haven't done so already, hey, subscribe to our channel. We've got a lot of exciting content coming up, especially if you like fruit trees and that whole process of fruit trees. We've got a whole lot of things going on. As soon as it gets hot, man, we are out here every day harvesting fruit. But we got a lot of cool stuff coming up, including this video, obviously. But subscribe to our channel and hey, like the video. You know, if you've got friends or family, people that you know that are, you know, fruit tree nerds and fruit tree geeks that might like something like this, hey, like the video and share it. Helps us out, gets the word out, and maybe help them out a little bit too. And, you know, if you have any questions or comments, hey, leave them down in the comment section below. Lori and I really love responding to you guys and interacting with you guys through our YouTube format. So it's kind of cool when we see those up, so we'd love to hear from you. So just want to thank you again for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you. All right, so today we're going to